idea what I'm doing, kind of, but not really. I have been wanting to do something like this for a very long time. When I became a content creator, and yes, I'm holding a rock because I'm nervous, believe it or not, I don't really get nervous. I became a content creator to share so many things with the world. I feel like I have been moved by God throughout the world, doing so many things, so many moves, so many occupations. And there was so much I wanted to share. I used to have this whiteboard. I'm a big whiteboarder. And I had this huge whiteboard, and I actually have the same whiteboard right now. You just can't see it's not in frame, with all these stories like ayahuasca, traveling the world by myself, grief, heartbreak, creativity. There's so much that has happened to me. There have been so many mind-boggling moments that, like, if you heard maybe one of them, you would say, how did that happen? And I have hundreds of them. So I feel like a reel is just not long enough. So I've been wanting to long form for a really long time. A lot of people have been like, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. And I love podcasts. I'm a huge podcast consumer, but I do feel like it is a very full market. I feel like there's just something so specific about having to plan and edit and do everything every week. So I've decided to do something a little bit off the wall. I feel like I was waiting for clarity where I could share more of myself, more of my stories, more of my teachings, more of my coaching, Reiki, shopping, you name it. And streaming is what came through. So this is an experiment. This is a completely raw, unedited filter, just me being me. You guys see such a small sliver of me on social media. It is a brilliant, beautiful, shiny, delicious pieces of me, but it is a small piece. And I wanted to bring a little bit more of my humor, of my playfulness, of my fortitude, of my creativity to a space. So that is what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to be sharing a lot on here. I'm going to be coming on live at 3 p.m. Central, 4 days a week. Woo! I had to figure out all this tech stuff, and I feel really proud of myself. And I have something really big coming on January 29th. That is something that I have been working on in different ways for over 9 years. So that is just a whole nother piece of me that I'm going to be sharing starting on the 29th on Mondays and Thursdays, but we'll get there. Right now, we're just here. We're going to play. We're going to figure out what feels good. We're going to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I definitely know I'm going to be streaming a live Reiki session. People are constantly asking me, like, what is Reiki? And so I want you guys to see live what it looks like when I do a session. So we're going to be doing that. We're definitely going to be doing some live shopping down the line with the jewelry line that you guys know I work with. I want to be doing live coaching. I wanted to do today really raw, but eventually I want you guys to be in the chat asking me questions, things you want me to expand upon. I want to do live coaching with you guys in the chat. I also want to share some of my poetry and creative projects and just like all sorts of stuff. So for now, this is just me ripping off the Band-Aid, just going live for the first time, rock in hand, so that I can see what wants to come through. As a lot of you guys know, I love to channel the divine. I love to see what God wants to say through me. And so sometimes I will plan things. I know I want to do a whole day, especially about ayahuasca, because that completely changed my life in 2019. I have a lot of really big moments that I'm going to maybe pre-plan a little bit, but a lot of time I'm just going to let whatever wants to come through, come through. And I'm going to allow myself to mess up, which for a perfectionist is just so healing, to allow myself to flub on words. And I definitely want to talk about the concussions. There's going to be a lot that I bring to you guys. And I think what I want to share today is just a little bit about me, about where I came from. We don't have to go all the way back to like my origin story. I'm from Las Vegas. A lot of people don't know that because I've traveled all over. So I am from Las Vegas, grew up there, absolutely loved it. And I always wanted to be an actress. So I acted a little bit in high school. I was a theater kid, so you can imagine how fun doing all the lights and creating this set was for me. And I always wanted to do that. My parents kind of begged me to go to college as my backup plan. So I ended up going to college, which you're going to learn about more in a different project I'm going to be sharing with you guys, where like I expose all my secrets, but that's not today. And then I got a marketing and management minor. I went to a company called Houzz, an interior design app, for a while that was really great. It was a really young, cool company. I worked my way up. It was really great, but I just was not built for corporate. So I left, went to LA to pursue acting finally. I had so many crazy jobs. That's some stuff I'm also going to share. The amount of jobs I had while I was acting was just out of this world. I got really bored with how bad the scripts were, kind of at the bottom of the totem pole, where you start as an actor doing background, you do a bunch of student films. So I started writing some of my own stuff, which was really great. I raised the money and shot a pilot that I produced, I directed, I starred, and we actually pitched that to Netflix, HBO, Amazon, Apple. That's another story I'll tell at another time because that's a whole thing that's leading into a few other things. But at that time, I also did interior design. I've done several home remodels in different cities in Vegas and San Diego and LA. I have done a lot of producing commercials. I've done a lot of stuff in the industry, whether it was set design, props, producing, you name it. And then healing kind of knocked on my door. And that was probably the last thing I thought I would ever be doing. It wasn't something that I ever imagined for myself, but it was something that knocked. A lot of times they say that your calling, it literally calls you. So that was something that I created and started doing for myself to heal. And I was on that healing journey for many, many years before Reiki specifically started tapping, and this vocation of becoming a Reiki healer, a coach, kind of opened up a whole new door for me. When I first left LA to kind of just see what else was out there, it was a little bit of a heartbreak. I wanted to be an actress my whole life, and when it didn't work out and when my show didn't get made, it got so close to getting picked up, but I felt so on top of the world. And then that didn't happen, and I had a really strong urge to go to Sedona. And this is actually, I'll share this story because it's pretty good. I was living in LA, I was acting, I was producing, I was also doing Reiki sessions at my house. So I had a very full life, but I felt like it was almost two different parts of me. Being on set was like so much chaos, so much multitasking, just go, go, go. And then the Reiki was slow and feminine and fulfilling and so delicious. And I had these kind of two parts of my life and I didn't know what to do. And I was sitting in a spiritual circle in LA and someone was talking about Sedona, Arizona, which I'd never been to. And I just heard in my head, you're moving to Arizona, or Sedona, rather. It was like, you're moving to Sedona. And I just kind of sat there because I don't typically hear. I have a bit more of a knowing in regards to my intuition. And I just sat there and we had a break at our circle and I was like eating some snacks, telling my friend, I was like, I think I'm moving to Sedona. He's like, what? Have you been? And I was like, no, but I have this I feel like I need to go. I just feel like I got this message from God to go. And then for a few days I started looking into it and I was like, what am I doing? I'm just going to leave my entire life, my friends, my dream behind. And I was like, okay, God, I want a really, really clear sign if I'm meant to go. And I got evicted the next day. And just to kind of rewind, I didn't get evicted because of anything I was doing. I lived with the granddaughter of the owner of the house, and she basically wanted to sell the house or up the rent because we were, because she was family, we weren't paying a ton. And so that was just the way she did it. She literally put an eviction notice on her door, which was so alarming. But I just sat there with my mouth open, just, oh my gosh, that was a loud sign, God, very definitive. I need to know for sure if I should move. And then you're like, bam, you're getting evicted. You are out of here, sister. So I moved to Arizona and I thought I was moving there permanently. I was like, I'm going to be a Sedona girl and that's my life now. I was working on a sci-fi novel at the time that's about half finished, which is another story we'll get into at some point. But I was able to just live for months and kind of get out of the rat race. And my dad, when I was 16, got me a Porsche Cayman and a little white two-door. And he had told me when we were really middle class, when I was younger, that if I had straight A's my whole life, I could have any car I wanted. And I never got a B. And so when I was 16, that time kind of rolled around and he was like, okay, you get whatever you want. And originally he said that I was going to have to get, an SUV or something, but I ended up with a two-door Porsche Cayman and I loved that car. And there's a reason I'm telling you this. It was pretty hilarious to have that be my only car. I would show up to hikes in it. You would have to drive on gravel and just now, I don't have it anymore. Looking back, I'm like, what a wild car to have through all of my adventures. But when I moved to Sedona, I looked at this car, which I never thought I'd sell ever, ever, ever. And I was like, I can't move, cities in a car like this. And so I put it up for sale and was getting lowballed and was like really upset about it. And then I think it was Easter, I went to church and prayed and was like, God, please let this car somehow be a blessing to someone else, but also like I don't want to lose, like I want it to be like a good situation on both sides. And sure enough, someone messaged me the next day. Actually, no, it was through someone I was producing with. He was like, "Hey, my friend might want your Porsche for his son." So they came over the next day. The whole family came. They like test drove it. It felt so much like my family growing up. And he literally bought it like for way over asking because he didn't even see the Craigslist ad. He just kind of offered me a number that was well above what I was asking for it and gave me a cashier's check on the spot. And it was just this massive miracle, again, showing me that is what I was meant to do because God was really providing for me. So I got another car, which I still have, but I had this beautiful nest egg of money so I could just go to Sedona and live and write. And I hadn't done any virtual sessions at that point. And so I decided to try virtual out, which was really interesting because I was really, really keen on just doing in-person Reiki at the time. But then I received a session from someone in Australia and it was so impactful that I actually threw up. And so I was like, whoa, if they can do it, then I can do it. So I started doing some virtual and just living in Sedona, thinking that that was my life. And long story short, God moved me so much over 2 years. Sedona was literally the tip of the iceberg. And I, in 2 years, slept in 55 different beds. Every time I moved somewhere, I thought that is where I was moving. So I would always like get an AMC card and like meet people and network. And then I would get moved and then I would move. And so finally about a year in, I was like, okay, God, I have about a year of this left in me, like 2 years total. I like being grounded. I like having my things. So I was like, I'm not a nomad. Like everyone in my life was like, I can't believe you're doing this. This is crazy. And 2 years were up. I was living in England. I lived many, many places between there, which we'll get into, but not today. And I was in England freezing my butt off last January, and it was coming up on 2 years pretty close. And I remember I was watching this movie called Unsung Hero, which is so good. If you haven't seen it, so motivational. I love it. And it's in Nashville. And so Nashville is playing, and I was like, wow, I wonder what it's like to live in Nashville. I loved that show Nashville growing up when I was younger, but didn't really think about it at the time. As I think that, I look down and I have a text from my brother who's trying to figure out where to move his family and goes, what do you think of Nashville? Like literally the same second I had that thought. What's it like to live in Nashville? He's like, what do you think about living in Nashville? So for me, that's what I like to call a God wink. I was like, whoa, something's going on with Nashville. So long story short, my brother and his family and my adorable little niece moved there. And I came back to LA for a little bit, kind of got my ducks in a row. And then I, as many of you know, moved to Nashville in May. So that is where I am currently. I've had so many different pieces of my life throughout that 2 years. And I think the biggest takeaway was just, I am not afraid of anything anymore, except for this. This actually was a little scary to me, which is funny because I'm just like sitting in a room by myself. But eventually you guys will be here with me and it'll be great and we'll be jiving and talking and it'll feel really interactive. But I used to be so petrified of change. I used to be so scared of like losing friends and not finding friends again. I used to be so just petrified of anything to change. And now I thrive off it. I can't tell you what it's like to move around by yourself for 2 years all over the world. No consistent income too. That's like a huge part of this. I have my own business. I have for years. But when you're constantly moving, it makes it a little bit difficult to be doing like client outreach and marketing and launches because you're just like, where am I going to be? Where am I going to go? Right? And so it was just this constant trust and back and forth with God of go here and me saying, go to Hawaii in the summer, peak season. Like it is going to be so expensive, but I did it. And there were so many miracles within that. So it's really just, I feel like I have been absolutely forged in fire the last 2 years. And then as many of you know, the second I came to Nashville, I got a really bad concussion. So that was its own kind of portal. But I am so grateful in hindsight because I feel like I believe you can grow more in 2 years than 10 years if you're constantly putting yourself in new situations. Our brain grows when something is new. That's why when you go on a vacation, it's so fun because it's like new cafes, new food, new smells, new sights, new experiences. So if you take someone for 10 years, same job, same friends, same hobbies, same partner, same habits for 10 years, the amount of growth is going to be much lower typically. This is, typically than someone where you put them in 2 years of constant figuring it out and constant fight or flight, if I'm being honest. And you're constantly meeting new people, changing directions, figuring out how to make money, figuring out where your next place is, figuring out what food you like, changing things because your diet works or doesn't work. And I feel like that 2 years felt like 10. If you were in my close circle at the time, it's like I have a Sedona version of me, I have a Shasta version of me, I have an Ashland, Oregon version of me, I have a LA when I came back to launch my second book version of me, I have a Hawaii version of me, I have England version of me, Mexico version of me. Like there's all these different chapters that whether they were a month, 3 months, 6 months, they feel like an entire life. And so it was so wild coming back to LA after 2 years and just seeing how different I felt. I would look around, I would hang out with some of the same people. And of course, I've kept some really close friends throughout that entire time, but a lot of my friends fell away, which is, part of life, especially if you're not living in the same place. And I feel like the concussion was so necessary for me to integrate all of that. I'm a Leo Taurus, and I got a lot of fire. So I love to learn, to grow, to expand. It's like I have this insatiable zest and passion for life. But because I was just going for 2 years and in such fight or flight, when I stopped moving, my body had to completely shut down to integrate all of those experiences. And which we'll get into on another stream because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to brain health and brain injuries and neuroplasticity and neurofeedback. But I got like completely knocked off my pedestal or whatever I was on. I've always had a very high ability to do, to think, to react, to grow, to figure things out, problem solve. I've always just had a very high capacity for things. And the concussion just turned off my processing system. Even now, I find that my recall isn't quite as sharp yet, but it's getting much better after the neurofeedback, which just saved my life basically. But I almost felt like there was we're all like these big computers, and I had all this new data coming in over those 2 years, and then my body needed to do like a hard reset, like unplug the computer from the wall type of reset, because I was talking super slow. My memory was gone. My word recall was gone. I could barely go to church without being overstimulated. I couldn't handle the windshield wipers in the car because they made me so dizzy. I was so deeply depressed because I realized at the time how much value I was placing on my ability to do, to achieve, to create, to shine, to lead, whatever it is, to pivot, to change, to grow. Like the doing was me. And losing that was so difficult because the thing about if you break your foot, you know to stay off your foot, right? When you hurt your brain, you can't stay off your brain. So when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling, you've got inflammation, all these things, you feel like there's something wrong with you. It really challenges your identity as a human. And it's such a weird feeling to not understand why you're so sad and frustrated and irritable. And then you see a doctor and they're like, your brain is severely inflamed, which is creating that. And I remember I was talking to a friend 3 months after, they're like, oh, you're still dealing with that? You're not better? And I remember feeling so much shame. Like I didn't fall off a building. I literally hit my head on the corner of a cabinet. And to be fair, I had gotten in a car accident a few months earlier, but it felt very minor, but I did have severe nausea after. So I'm pretty sure I had like a pre-concussion. And then I got a full fibroblast, which if you don't know what that is, they take like a fibroblast plasma pen and like burn your face for like hours to like take off the top layer. It worked great though. But if I think about the worst thing I could have done for concussion, it probably would have been that. So it's like I had the car accident, then that face thing, then I moved across the country, then I furnished my whole place, and then I hit my head really hard on a cabinet. So it really was, kind of a few things that put it together. But still, I feel like my symptoms of the concussion were so severe, it literally felt as if I was knocked in the face with a baseball bat or like fell off a building because I was so gone. I was crying just all the time. I would just call my friends and just like, I don't know what to do. It's like I don't have the ability to work. I had to really cut back on sessions and doing my work because my entire work was virtual. And the one thing you're not supposed to do with a concussion is be on a screen. So it was just this crazy, crazy time being in a brand new city. It was so hot this summer in Nashville. I didn't know anyone. I couldn't work, so I was stressed about money. It was just like this perfect culmination of everything I'd been through. I thought I was going to just come to Nashville and it was going to be like the red carpet and it was going to be so easy. And instead, it was the biggest challenge yet of almost the ending of this 2 years. And that feels really poetic looking back because I believe every time you expand into like a new level of frequency, there can come a test of can you actually hold this? Will you actually trust? And I've been really interested in Kabbalah lately. And there's something called a tikkun, which is your soul's correction. And there's a lot about surrender as well. And I'll never forget, there was a moment where I was writing this awfully sad, I don't even know if it was a journal entry or an essay in my journal one night, just during the concussion, crying, just not understanding. I actually might share that on here. If you guys are interested, you guys let me know. I might share it because it's really, really heartbreaking. It was just this plea to God of like, what have I done? Like it just was really, really bad. And it made me feel like all the work that I had done the previous 9 years of my spiritual awakening were for nothing. And I remember just sitting there and just be like, I was like, I give up. I completely give up. I surrender everything. And of course I'd surrendered before, but as a type A surrender, you're like, I surrender, but let me know what to do. I surrender, but like, I'm still going to keep going, right? This was the first time that I surrendered. Like literally was like, if you take me tonight in bed, God, I'm fine. I have lived such a full life, but I don't understand your plan. I feel so broken. I feel so alone. I feel so scared. And I truly give you my life. And I was just bawling and I was just journaling and like scratching. And I was like, just take it all, even take my life if you need. And I know that sounds bleak, but it wasn't in some scary way. It was just like in such an exhaustive way where I was like, I give it all away. And I remember I just like fell immediately into a sleep because I feel like so much of the time it's your resistance to what is that's actually creating the friction in your life, right? And it's like, that is when everything started to change. I started to do neurofeedback, which changed my life. I started to meet some friends. Things just started like clicking really slow. I didn't notice it at the time. This is all looking in hindsight. And really what made space for the change was that complete surrender. Was that actual, like, I give you my whole life because I don't know what the plan is. Like, I'm out of plans. And in hindsight, I'm like, I don't think God tries to break us. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I do feel like a lot of the times we are put in certain circumstances so that we see that we cannot do it all alone, right? And I was like, dang, it took a lot to break me. Like I always think of myself as like a mare or something. And I was like, gosh, it took like 2 years of this crazy thing. And then the car accident and the moving and the concussion. And I was like, dang, I had a strong spirit. And it's not that it broke me in a sense of a bad way. It's that it like broke my need to do it all by myself. It broke my need to be able to hold more than everyone else. It broke my need to become something that I hadn't become yet, that I felt like in the back of my mind I'd failed in some way. Where now, post-concussion, obviously I still have symptoms and, really, really mildly comparatively. Neurofeedback, like literally I will do a whole thing about neurofeedback because it saved my life, like period. And now post concussion, it's like, I am so grateful for everything. When you lose your ability to remember, to speak, effectively, to be, all summer everyone was like going to concerts and all stuff, and I couldn't because I couldn't be around stimulation. Um, Depression, nausea, headaches, like when you're experiencing that, it was like a 6 month situation that I dealt with this. On the other end, the gratitude and passion and zest I have for life is unexplainable. It's like mid-October, I feel like the lights had been off for 6 months and the lights came back on in my life. And it's like when you get sick and you're like, oh, my throat hurts, I'll never be able to eat again. Like you're like, oh, remember all those times I ate and I took it for such granted. It's like that, but on steroids, because like my whole body was basically, my mind were shut down. I couldn't work out. I gained a bunch of weight, which, ladies, you know how difficult that is to already be going through like a mental health crisis and then put on 20 pounds. Like, ooh, still getting it off. So we're doing our best. But I literally couldn't work out for 6 months. I had to like lay in a dark room. It was crazy. And all this to say that now I'm so grateful. I was taking so much of my life for granted. I was taking my ability for granted. Like I was just taking thoughts for granted and connection for granted and music for granted and the sun for granted and walking for granted. And now I'm like, thank the Lord Jesus literally for the concussion, because it gave me time to rest, which I never would have done because that's just, I'm a little like Energizer bunny. And it gave me time to integrate. But really, it gave me my spark for life back. The 2 years traveling was so magical, but it was so hard. And I think a lot of you guys that follow me, you saw a lot of the highlights. It was hard behind the scenes. And that's really one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because I feel like I want to show you guys more of the tough stuff. I show you guys, and I don't even do it consciously. It's not like I'm like, I only want to show them the good stuff. It's just that when I'm low, I'm so low that I'm too tired to post about it. I like to figure out what the lesson is and then I share it with you guys. So that's one of my goals here, is to show you guys the depth, because like I am a deep, deep, emotional, aware lady. And I want to share those pieces with you guys as well. And we're going to do that through some poetry. What's happening on the 29th, you guys, it's going to blow your guys' mind. I can't even believe I'm doing it, but I've been working on it for 9 years and it's ready to be born. I'm just like, I've been holding it in. It's the perfect time. It like aligns perfectly. It's just really wild, actually. Like spiritually, numerology wise, I'm exactly the same. Like I don't know if you guys like numerology, but I love numbers. So my spiritual awakening literally started like on a 1 year. And so it's been 9 years of this. And then now we're in a 1 of my own spiritual journey, but also like as a collective for 2026. And so it's just such a juicy, perfectly divine timing, like everything is, to release this. And I feel like if I don't release this project, it's just going to sit inside of me forever like mold. So I'm definitely going to be sharing more of that, and it's going to be a little bit of a different set. It's a different vibe. It's a little bit more of a performance, but I'm really excited about that for you guys. And I just want to remind you that everything happens for a reason. And I know that when you're going through a hard time, that's like the last thing you want to hear. And I know that when you can't pay your bills, that's the last thing you want to hear. But I truly believe that everything is meant to be. Everything is from the Creator and everything is good. And the more that you can look at something of what is this trying to teach me, instead of why is this trying to like punish me or what did I do to deserve this, it's the quicker you're going to come out of things. And I had to learn this, trial by fire myself. So I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that even if you've been wronged, you're the one who has to decide to stop playing the victim if you want a different life. If you don't want a different life, that's fine, right? I've been there many times, just stuck in a very destructive pattern and wanting to tell everyone about it and whatnot. But when you truly believe that everything is meant to be, you will see it quicker. And that's one thing I really want to share, because I feel like that is one of my superpowers, is just like belief. I believe and have more faith than anyone I know personally. Other people that I love, that I look up to, that have it, but I just feel like mine was. I feel like mine was halfway like baked into me, but I do feel like I've been through a lot, a lot of death and people being sick and heartbreak and money issues and things that are hard. And I feel like I've lost my hope many times, but it's always come back stronger. So that's one thing I really want to show you guys. Not even show you, more just share my experiences so you can see what it looks like to live on the edge and in full faith. Because like some crazy stuff has happened to me where I've been in really crazy situations, like with money and not knowing what I'm going to do. And then I just fully leap with faith and God just shows up. So that's really what I want to do here with you guys, is I just want to share and I want to play. I don't know if it's always going to like be this formal. I would love to just really be coaching as I go, but also we're going to be sharing a lot of stuff, having a lot of fun. And I feel like there's a little girl inside of me, just like there is inside of you, or a little boy, and she just wants to play. I feel like since the concussion, I care less about what people think. I want to play more. I grew up in the theater just like playing. I can't tell you how much fun I had like figuring out all these lights. If you could see the setup around me, I'll post it on my Instagram. Like there's a lot going on. But it reminds me of doing tech in high school, and I just feel like if I'm already going to share my life with you guys, which I already am, I want you to see more of me. I feel like I get a lot of comments when I post about certain things like luxury or AI, or people like, I would never guess that about you. I'm like, you guys, you don't really know me, right? You know a piece of me, this spiritual alchemist that I'm known as online, but I have a lot more to me, just like we all do. And I feel like, gosh, I'm going to let you guys in. I might as well let you guys all the way in. So this is my way to do that. And this is really just the beginning. And I want you guys to comment on this. I want people to tell me what you want to hear from me. I want this to be entirely collaborative because I really prefer to answer questions versus just like taking stuff out of nowhere. So if you guys have ideas, things you want to know, I'm literally sharing it all. I mean, there's really nothing off limits at this point. I might think of something, so don't hold me to it. Don't hold me to anything. I also say that. I change my mind a lot and I change my beliefs a lot because I feel like I'm always collecting more data and learning and learning and learning. So I am not the type of person that will get stuck in something they believed a while ago. I didn't eat meat for years. I've been vegan, I've been vegetarian, I've been pescatarian. Right now, I eat everything. So like I have really big beliefs, but I also allow myself to constantly be changing. So never hold anything I say against me because I'm sure not going to. But this has been lovely. This is just the beginning. I feel like I can breathe now because it's been weeks of trying to get this up and the universe has just been slowing me down. I wanted to start in December, but with the holidays, I was like, that's silly. And then the camera got delayed. And then my computer broke. So I got this delicious, you can't really tell, but she's light blue and I'm obsessed with her. She's so cute. But there were so many delays and I was so glad that I didn't promote this because of the delays. I want everyone to realize that you got to be really flexible with what's coming up. We're going into the year of the fire horse on February 17th, and it's going to be so fast, so much fire. So you're going to be wanting to make sure that you're being fluid. Like water is, you want to always like be balancing out, right? So because there's so much fire, you want to bring water into it, which is go with the flow, flexibility. There's going to be so much forward momentum, but you have to be able to pivot a lot. And you're going to see on my channel, I bring a lot of different things together. I also love God and I love spirituality. So that's usually a hot topic with people. So that is certainly something we're going to get into probably sooner rather than later because I love going to church and I love astrology and I love God and I love crystals. And I think it's all just so complementary. So that's something we're going to go super deep into at some point. But I've spoken enough for now. I love all of you. I am so grateful for your time and I also want to get to know you guys. So I definitely want there to be as much chatter in the chat as possible. And if you can't make it live and you watch the replay, that's still delicious. Definitely write a comment on the video because I will be checking those. This is my new little world now. So I can't wait to share it with you. And I hope that you are enjoying this last little bit of the year of the snake. We just turned into Aquarius, which feels really yummy. But if things are a little sticky right now, just know, and things are, you can feel it, right? Things are getting faster. It's because the fire horse is coming, but we're not there yet. So this is just like a taster, like a little appetizer, but we're still in the year of the snake. So if there are things you like unfinished business, this is the time. That's why I'm launching this project on January 19th, because I'm like, it is unfinished and let's get it out of my body. Well, that is me over